Okay, so today we're diving into something pretty interesting. We've all heard about positivity and the power of positive thinking, but
Mhm.
this time we've got some material here that goes way deeper than just, putting on a happy face.
Yeah, it's more like a
Next practical guide, yeah.
actively building positivity.
Yeah, and I'm really interested to dig into this with you and, like I said, try to extract like the nuggets of like, okay, how do we actually apply this stuff in real life?
Exactly. And what's really cool about the material we have is that it's laid out like a casual conversation. So it's
Yeah.
already kind of doing some of the work for us.
Right. It's not like a, textbook or a
Right.
lecture or something. It's like you're sitting down with
Just to
somebody.
be eavesdropping on a
It's being
really
a
some
conversation.
interesting
Yeah,
conversation.
then we get to come in and
And be like, wait,
pick it apart and
getting right.
offer our analysis. Yeah. Okay. So one of the first things that jumped out at me was this emphasis on gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
And they even mentioned, the classic gratitude journal, which
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I've always kind of like felt a little about that. Like,
Yeah, I get it.
is it really more than just like, oh, think good thoughts and you'll feel
No.
better? Like, is there really more to it?
Well, I mean, feeling better is a good outcome, but the cool thing is that there's actually scientific evidence to back up the benefits of gratitude. It's not just a feel-good thing.
Okay, so like what kind of science are we talking about here?
So there have been studies using fMRI technology, which basically allows researchers to see what's happening in the brain in real time.
Oh, wow.
And they've found that when people practice gratitude, certain areas of the brain light up, like
Like what areas?
the ventral tegmental area, which is associated with reward and pleasure.
Interesting.
So basically, gratitude is actually triggering the release of dopamine and serotonin, which are those feel-good chemicals.
So it's literally like giving yourself
Right.
a little
Neurochemical boost.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And what's even more interesting is that over time, this consistent practice can actually rewire the brain.
Like neuroplasticity.
Exactly.
Okay.
So you're not just feeling better in the moment, you're actually training your brain to focus on the positive more naturally.
So it's like building a habit of positivity in your
Yes.
brain. That's fascinating.
It is, and it kind of ties into the next concept they talk about, which is affirmations, which I know can sometimes get a bit of a bad rap for being cheesy or overly simplistic.
Oh, yeah, I was going to bring that up because I've always kind of felt like, oof, affirmations.
Right.
Do they really do anything, or is it just like,
But here's the thing. Affirmations are actually tapping into the power of our subconscious mind.
Okay.
By repeating these positive statements, we're essentially planting seeds in our subconscious, which can then influence our thoughts, our feelings, and eventually even our actions.
So it's not about like denying negative thoughts. It's more about like
Correct.
shifting the balance. Exactly. It's about creating a more positive internal environment for ourselves.
Okay, so give me an example of how this might actually work, like in real life.
Sure. Imagine you have a garden. If you constantly plant weeds, your garden will be full of weeds.
Makes sense.
But if you intentionally plant flowers and you nurture them, you'll have a beautiful garden, right?
Right.
Affirmations work similarly. They're like planting those flowers in your mind, cultivating a more positive mental landscape.
I like that analogy. So it's about consciously choosing what we plant in our minds.
Mhm.
Okay, now this next topic I feel like is something we all kind of intuitively understand, but the source really drives home the point about the importance of our social circle.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
it comes to
In
positivity,
the company you keep.
like who are you spending your time with?
Right.
Because that's going to have a huge impact.
And it's not just about feeling good around certain people. Studies have actually shown that having a strong social support system can significantly reduce stress and improve overall well-being.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because when you're going through something tough and you've got people you can lean on,
Yeah.
it just makes everything feel a little bit real.
Exactly. And positive relationships can provide a sense of belonging, which can boost your self-esteem, and they can act as a buffer against the negative effects of stress.
It's like having a built-in cheer squad right there with you.
Exactly. They're your personal cheer squad, cheering you on and helping you stay resilient in the face of challenges.
I love that. Okay, so we've talked about gratitude, affirmations, positive social circles, and now the source brings up something called reframing challenges, which sounds a bit like looking for the silver lining.
Right.
But how does that tie into building a more positive outlook?
Well, it's not about pretending that everything's perfect or ignoring the difficulty of a situation. It's more about shifting your perspective to see the challenge as an opportunity for growth.
Okay, so it's not about being like, oh, this is all great.
Right.
It's about like, okay,
It's about finding the lesson.
what can I learn from this
Exactly. And resilience, which is the ability to bounce back from setbacks, is closely linked to how we perceive challenges.
Okay, so if you can see a setback as like a stepping stone rather than like a...
Exactly. You're
Right.
more likely to come out of it stronger and more positive.
That makes sense, but sometimes it's really hard to see anything positive when you're in the middle of a struggle.
Hmm.
Like, how do you actually reframe something when you're feeling overwhelmed by it?
It takes practice, and mindfulness can be a really helpful tool here. When you're faced with a challenge, instead of getting swept up in the negative emotions, try taking a step back
Okay.
and asking yourself, what can I learn from this? Or what strengths am I using to navigate this situation?
So even just asking the question can be helpful.
Even just asking the question can shift your focus from feeling overwhelmed to feeling empowered.
It's about regaining a sense of agency, even in difficult situations. I like that. And finally, the source highlights something that's so important but often overlooked, which is self-care as a crucial component of cultivating positivity.
Mhm.
They mention things like exercise, meditation, hobbies, things that bring us joy and help us recharge.
Yeah, and self-care is often seen as a luxury, but it's really essential for maintaining the energy and resilience that we need to stay positive.
Yeah, it's like you can't run on an empty tank.
Exactly. When we neglect our own needs, we become depleted, which makes it much harder to cope with stress and maintain a positive outlook.
It's like you're trying to pour from an empty cup.
Exactly. Self-care is about refilling our cup so that we have the resources to face life's challenges with a more positive and resilient mindset.
It's like investing in your well-being so you can better navigate the ups and downs of life.
Exactly.
So we've covered a lot of ground here. Gratitude, affirmations, positive social circles, reframing challenges, and self-care.
Hmm.
It's like we've assembled a toolkit for building a more positive outlook.
We have. And what's really exciting is that even small, consistent efforts in these areas can have a ripple effect, not just on our own well-being, but also on our interactions with others and our overall experience of the world.
It's like a chain reaction of positivity. I like that.
Exactly.
Well, we've given you a lot to think about today, but if there's one thing we hope you take away from this deep dive, it's this. Cultivating positivity is an ongoing journey, and even small steps can make a big difference.
Absolutely.
So thanks for joining us, and remember, you have the power to choose
Yeah,
positivity.
they do.
And hey, maybe give that gratitude journal another look.
Maybe. Could be worth it.
It could be. All right, until next time.
See ya!